Anika apparently didn't know what level of Wu Sheng was, and she asked in surprise, "Can you deal with them?" Yi Ming nodded. "Don't ask any more, follow me." After speaking, he pulled Anika and jumped straight into the river. The river is thousands of miles wide, the environment in the river is complicated, the reefs are lined with many creatures, and even the locals rarely go. Anika was so scared that she turned pale, and cried, "The river is more dangerous." Yi Ming said, "It doesn't matter, follow me." I don't know when. The diamond rat gets out of the cuff, sticks to Yi Ming's shoulder, and releases a terrifying atmosphere. Although the creatures in this river are powerful, they may not be as many as the Vajra, so most of them dare not approach. On the river bank, the three aliens all showed annoyed expressions, and one of them carrying a bow and arrow cursed, "The prey actually committed suicide, and it's so disappointing to me." In their opinion, Anika's weak creature had no choice but to enter the river. The creatures in the river are so powerful that she can't compete at all. Damn an humble human being, I wanted to catch her and play with it. I didn't expect her to have the courage to commit suicide. Another stranger said with pity that a round knife was hanging around his waist. The third person on the face of the other race had fish-like things on both sides, one after the other, and sprayed lilac smoke. He smiled, "Hey," and said, "I'm good at controlling the water. No matter where she flees, she can come out. The two virtuous brothers will wait for a while, and I will come and go." Having said that, the alien with a fish cheek face jumped into the water without any waves. It seemed as if it had melted into the water at once. Yi Ming took Anika through the water. He knew that the things behind were extraordinary and didn't want to confront them, so he jumped into the river for the first time to avoid direct conflict between the two sides. However, it was beyond his expectation that a stranger chased into the river, not far behind. "I don't know if I live or die." Yi Ming grunted coldly, pulled Anika, and suddenly entered an underwater cave. The cave was very dark. Yi Ming found a hollow cave wall, pulled Anika on it, held her breath, and remained motionless. Not long after, there was a faint water pressure fluctuation around it, a sharp spunlace, silent towards Yi Ming's chest. Yi Ming's Yuanshan monitored the surrounding environment, and as soon as the water spun arrived, it released an invisible sword. Si Lingling, was a sword light, ding, slammed the water spun, and killed his opponent with his hands. The aliens shot her in the level of martial arts, and the means are very extraordinary. After the spunlace was knocked open, he flew back immediately, then hit it with one palm, and a heavy undercurrent rushed to Yi Ming and Anika. The opponent uses water as a conductor to transmit power and wants to kill him in one shot. Yi Ming showed a sneer. As long as he was practicing dark energy, he practiced in 1 yuan of heavy water. This means of borrowing water is too basic for him. I don't know whether to live or die. Suddenly, he was shocked all over, leading Da Junli to start. The right palm was gently moved forward, then pulled, and the last push, the undercurrent sent by the opponent was fully countered back. Moreover, this counterattack also added his own powerful strength. Boom! Under the stimulus of great force, the water stream gasified directly, dazzling lightning appeared in the dark, and the sound of explosion, the shock wave of fear was irresistible, and hit the opponent. The alien was taken aback and desperately resisted, but Yi Ming's strength was better than him, plus his own attack was also in it. How could he stop it? Hearing his scream, half of his body was smashed, and the other half was also tattered and could only twitch slightly. Si Lingling. With a sword light, Yi Ming cut off the opponent's head, then picked off the 2 storage bags on the opponent's waist, and a storage ring on his hand. He was too late to watch, and pulled Anika away. Anika was so scared that her face was pale, and she kept saying along the way, "You actually killed the people of the 5 elements. That's one of the hundreds of forces. When this is over, all my people will suffer." Yi Ming had heard of the powerful race, and beyond the 3 supreme gods, it was the so-called 100 races. However, he did not feel how strong the other party was as a 100 ethnic group, dismissively saying, "What are you afraid of? Who knows what we did? As for your ethnic group, I can take them to another place to survive." Anika froze and asked, "Take my people away. Can we have more than 100 people? Can we take them all?" Yi Ming. Don't say more than 100 people, that is, more than 1,000,000 people are fine. Well, find your tribe first and place them in a safe place. Anika asked gratefully, "Why are you helping me? As a human being, seeing that the same kind is being bullied by a foreigner, how can I sit by and ignore it? Besides, you are a man from the same place, and I have been there. This is also a fate." Yi Ming said, "Anika, your kind can't be repaid for your kindness." Yi Ming, I don't need you to report back. Just I have a question, how did you appear on the Tianyao continent? Anika, our ancestor was a pope named Anthony who practiced profoundly. Once, Anthony claimed to have found a way to heaven, so he took dozens of people and set foot on the road to heaven. But who knows, they arrived the place is not paradise, but it is full of dangerous sky monster world. For centuries, our people have been continuously attacked by various kinds, and the dead are countless. To this day, there are only more than 100 people alive. Quote. Yi Ming nodded. Presumably, your ancestors found the teleportation array, which brought you here. You can rest assured that your tribe can follow me to the Tianyuan continent, where there is far less dangerous. At least, you can live in peace. Quote. Call me Yi Ming. Yi Ming said. The two jumped up the river and headed straight for the tribe. At the same time, the faces of the other two aliens on the shore became more dignified, because their companions have not yet returned. Did something go wrong? Said the cold man with a machete. Theoretically, the aquarium in the river will never hurt him. Is it a humble human being? She doesn't seem to be alone. Vaguely, I smelled another person's breath. The bowman sighed. He hasn't returned yet. I'm afraid it's more formidable. Let's go hunting together. One less result. How can we tell our family? The second alien said, at least, we have to find the body and the killer. After all, the two jumped into the water one after another, and began to look for their companion and the escaped prey. At this point, Yi Ming and Anika had found her tribe. It was a pristine place. The houses were all made of thatch and the weapons were very old. What's more terrible is that Yi Ming found that these people have little to do, and Anika is one of them. On the one hand, Anika appeased the tribe and explained why they left. On the other hand, Yi Ming had ordered the 8-star battleship to fall down to take light, and gradually brought the tribe into the battleship to settle. Soon, the people of the entire tribe disappeared, and Anika suddenly said, Yi Ming, thank you for your great gratitude. I have a secret to tell you that the purpose of these aliens coming to the Heaven Demon continent is not simply hunting. They have other intentions. Quote. Yi Mingqi said. Other intentions. What is it? Anika said. Since my ancestor Anthony came to the Tianyao continent, a large number of hunters appear every 10 years. At the beginning, we thought they were really hunting, and they also saw it with their own eyes. They saw a lot of beasts killed by them. Until then, by chance, my father discovered a secret. Quote. In the beginning, my father found that every 10 years, when the alien hunting began, the climate of the entire Tianyao world would become abnormal. There was either a storm or an earthquake, and neither was a devastating natural disaster. In subsequent hunts, he even discovered that these hunters were actually looking for a precious stone called Fa Jing. Quote. Yi Ming was taken aback. Fajing. Is there a Fajing on the continent? Anika nodded. My father finally learned that hunters take away tens of thousands of Fajings from the Tianya continent every year. In fact, those natural disaster visions are caused by Fajing. Yi Ming nodded. He knew how precious Fa Jing was. Even the most ordinary Fa Jing was worth more than 1 billion long-lived coins. Tens of thousands of French crystals, isn't it worth hundreds of billions of longevity coins? His heart was pounding and he asked, how did they find Fa Jing? Why did they come every 10 years? Anika. My father said that there seems to be a strong creature under the seal of the Heaven Demon continent, and that seal loosens every 10 years. Each loosening will expose a large number of Fa crystals, thus attracting aliens out of the mountains. Yi Ming was startled. Why did every big world seem to be sealed with terrible creatures? Either the Demon Continent or the Tianyuan Continent is sealed with prehistoric beings, and this is also true of the Demon Continent. Could it be said that at some time, a large number of powerful beings were sealed? The idea flashed in his head. He shook his head and asked, "Then you know how to find Fa Jing?" "It's actually very simple," Annika said. "When natural disasters occur, such as earthquakes, storms, thunderstorms, etc., there are often fajings coming out. Most of those fajings have been taken away by the beasts, only a few have been captured by aliens. My father said that the reason why the monsters on the land of the Demon Continent is powerful should be related to the mass production of fajing." Quote. Yi Ming knew, of course, that a piece of Fa Jing would most likely create a longevity beast. He nodded, and said, "Thank you for telling me all this. Let's get on the battleship first." On board the 8-star battleship, Yi Ming explained the situation to everyone. When Ma Shanchao heard that there was Fa Jing here, he immediately said excitedly, "Master, with the 8-star battleship, we must be able to harvest a lot of Fa Jing, and now we are rich." Yi Ming was not as excited as he was, saying, "Let's not talk about the powerful fierce beasts that look down upon each other. These aliens are also extremely difficult to entangle. We want to grab the tiger's mouth to eat, but it is difficult and difficult." Shanchao. The Sky Demon Continent is so large that fierce beasts and aliens cannot arrive in time. We should not have too much ambition, as long as we can pick up leaks. Yi Ming thought for a while, and felt reasonable, and said to Wu Chenying, "This operation was performed in my own name, and Qianying army should not participate, let alone let them know. Otherwise, people will talk a lot and it will be easy to leak out." Wu Chenying certainly understands Yi Ming's worries. Such actions against aliens must be cautious. Once their identity is exposed, it may lead to killings and even affect the people around them. After all, the hundreds of people are not easy to mess with. In case the army of Tianyuan is on the rise, maybe the entire Tianyuan people will be unlucky. In the long river of history, there are countless civilizations annihilated, and no one can guarantee that martial arts civilization will not encounter the disaster. At the moment, Yi Ming's battleship Guilei opened the reconnaissance compass on the 8-star battleship. This search compass is powerful and can detect large movements within 100,000 miles. Once natural disasters such as thunderstorms and earthquakes occur, it can detect them the first time. On the other side, Yi Ming is also discussing with Ma Shanchao how to do it properly. In the end, he decided to roughly determine the position by scouting the compass, and then personally took the Vajra and treasure hunt rat to find the crystal. The 8-star battleship is not afraid of revealing its identity if it does not show up, and it is protected by a Vajra, and he can retreat from his body even in danger. More importantly, the treasure hunting rat can find Fajing the first time, which improves the efficiency and has a great chance to find Fajing before the ferocious beasts and aliens. Just after Annika's people moved away, 2 aliens came to the scene and watched people go to the empty thatched cottage. Their faces were so ugly and ugly. The bow-bearing boy angered. The woman really did not die. She was worried about our revenge, so she led the people to flee. The knife-bearing boy snorted and said coldly, "She can't run away. Let's go to the elder. He is the eternal life of 8 realms. Yuanshan can radiate 100,000 miles and can easily find her." On the other side, Yi Ming's warship has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles long, and the search compass has been running. Eventually, when the battleship entered a mountainous area, there was movement on the compass, indicating that 39 miles northeast and a large-scale natural disaster occurred at a location of 39,000 miles. Yi Ming immediately ordered the battleship to the place where the natural disaster occurred, and arrived in a short time. As the battleship approached, everyone saw that there was a dark cloud in front and a huge volcano was erupting, and a huge amount of volcanic ash was covering the sky, covering all the ground. In desperation, the warship can only travel against the ground for easy observation. Finally close to the crater, the air was extremely hot, and fierce explosions continued to come from the crater. The violent shock wave could smash the rock, and there was no life around, either it was scared away or it was killed. The battleship could no longer approach the crater, and Yi Ming landed with a Vajra. As soon as a person came out, the hot temperature made him tortured by fire, and the continuous violent shock waves continued to hit him. Ruyi robe. Yi Ming drank softly. Ruyi robe was fully open to isolate the heat and explosion, and he walked easily towards the crater. Xiao Bao, don't you feel it? Yi Ming asked. Xiao Bao shook his head, apparently unaware that Jumbo was born. Yi Ming suddenly lost his interest. Without Xiao Bao's instructions, he could only bang like a headless fly, instead of waiting for it. He decided to find a place of stability and act on the occasion. It happened that, not far from the front, there was a diamond boulder, which was still intact in the shock wave. He lay down on the boulder and sat down, waiting for further action. However, as soon as he sat down, the Vajra in his sleeve moved, reminding him of a stranger approaching. Yi Ming was startled and immediately turned on Ruyi's robe of invisibility, and immediately disappeared. In the distance, a figure approached. His image was strange, as if a crocodile without a tail stood upright. If it wasn't for the other person's face to be nearly human, Yi Ming would think it was a crocodile monster, not an alien. This alien is powerful, at least a character of the 8th heaven level of Fatian. Yi Ming secretly said, it seems that he also came to look for Fajing. The crocodile alien came near the boulder, suddenly stopped, stared at Yi Ming's location, and said coldly, come out. Yi Ming was startled. How did the other party find themselves? He immediately showed his true body, stood up behind Oishi, and stared at the other person. The crocodile alien's pupils are cross-shaped, purple-blue-gold, and very weird. He showed a cold smile and said, human, be my slave, so you don't have to die. Yi Ming was so happy that he was about to start, but he felt that the Vajra was grasping his arm with force. This was a very serious warning. He was shocked in his heart and deliberately showed a horror. I am willing to be a slave. Quote. The crocodile alien nodded with satisfaction. You are very smart, without the so-called dignity of stupid human beings. Dignity is built on strength. Without dignity, what is dignity? Yi Ming nodded again and again. The master said so. Come here. The crocodile beckoned at him. Yi Ming immediately walked over and lowered his head. However, he has already secretly used his skills. As long as the opponent is against him, he will fight back at any time. What he was worried about was the existence that the Vajra was afraid of, not the alien in front of him. My name is Crocodile, and you will be your master from now on. Your stealth is good. How did you do it? Crocodile asked. Immediately said. The stealth spell that is not worth mentioning makes the master laugh. You are very clever and humble. I start to like you. If you are faithful to me, I will take you to my world and make you a strong person. Yi Ming grinned. The correction is willing to follow the master. As far as loyalty is concerned, I can't talk about it at the moment. I am the master's slave for my life. The crocodile, smiled. You human beings are very interesting. I really like you. Now stand up and follow me. After that, he strode forward. Yi Ming stood up and followed behind the crocodile. From the body of the crocodile, he felt the aura of the superior. In addition, there are obviously secret masters protecting him, so his identity must not be simple. The host doesn't know my name yet, Yi Ming said. Slaves don't need names, the crocodile said coldly. Unless one day you can change from a slave to a follower. Yi Ming, but I don't know the identity of the master. What kind of master is the master? This can tell you that I am the prince of the Split Sky clan. The Split Sky clan is the 10th clan of the hundreds, and it controls dozens of big worlds. There are also several true gods in the heavens. Yi Ming was shocked. The so-called true ***** is the power of the eternal state, which is the Lord God. The so-called celestial realm must be a high-level dimension suitable for the survival and cultivation of the Lord God. Your people, haven't the true gods been born yet? Without the protection of the true gods, it may be destroyed at any time. You can follow me, it is your creation. The crocodile said. It's very likely that Fa Jing is buried under this crater, said the crocodile. You must know about this, otherwise why would it appear here? Yi Ming did not deny. Originally the master also knew. At this moment, the crocodile stopped and suddenly asked the air, did you find it? His Royal Highness, Fa Jing has not yet been born, but still has to wait. An old voice sounded, and I did not know where it came from. This man, obviously, is the mysterious master who dreaded the donkey mouse. He finally spoke out. The crocodile frowned. If you wait any longer, the nearby beasts will come over, people from other clans will also appear, and it will be very difficult to compete for Fa Jing. Speaking of this, he suddenly stared at Yi Ming and said, I will give you a armor. After you put it on, go into the volcano exploration to see if you can find the crystal. After the matter is done, I will give you a lot of rewards. Yi Ming sneered, what reward could be worth more than Fa Jing? And he can be sure that entering the volcano will be extremely dangerous, otherwise the crocodile will go down by itself and will not let him go down at all. Although he thought so, he said without hesitation, observe. The crocodile was very satisfied, took out an armor, and handed it to Yi Ming. Yi Ming took a look at it. The so-called sacred armor was only engraved with an intermediate defense array, and he could hold up to a quarter of an hour in the hot magma. In other words, if he couldn't get out of the magma within a quarter of an hour, people would die in it. However, without saying a word, he put on the armor and said, I'll go down. The crocodile nodded. When you find the trace of Fa Jing, come up and report it immediately. Yes, Yi Ming answered, and quickly walked towards the crater. The closer to the crater, the stronger the shock wave. He was hit more than 10 times in a row before he reached the mountain pass and then jumped down. The crocodile watched Yi Ming jump into the crater, and laughed. This ant has a bit of courage, but unfortunately he has little chance of living out. Under the volcano in the Tianya mainland, there are often powerful beasts of fire, even as I dare not go down, let alone him. Quote. The old voice sounded. But in the end he has some chance to come out, hoping to bring some useful news. He said that as soon as Yi Ming entered the magma, he immediately discarded the so-called armor. The scorching lava was able to melt the hard rock, but it could not hurt his body in the slightest. Because when he practiced the first turn of the 9 turns golden body, he incorporated the fire avoidance mystic into the body, and the magma could not hurt him at all. Even in the magma, he could feel a cool and very comfortable reasons. Yi Ming opened the Ruyi robe to make himself invisible. He wasn't sure if dangerous creatures in the magma or if they were safer to hide. The fireproof mystic crystal and Ruyi robe made Yi Ming silent in the magma, and it was extremely difficult for outsiders to find him. He sinks quickly, and the pressure of the magma is getting heavier. If a large number of his gold bodies are turned 3 times, he will not be able to bear it. After falling for about 10 miles, he felt a small creature appear. Some of these creatures are flaming fish, some are yellow snakes, and blue insects, one by one, full of heat. If it weren't for Yi Ming's ability to ward off fire, I'm afraid they would already pounce on it and eat it. Yi Ming felt embarrassed in his heart. He read a lot of books and knew that these were all elves born in flames, also known as fire spirits. The fire essence is divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. The last is the red creature, the yellow is on top, and then the blue, purple, and colorless. The colorless fire essence is the most terrible. It can burn everything, and even if it can be encountered in a long life, it is a dead end. When more and more fire spirits appeared, Yi Ming suddenly felt that in the storage ring, the sleeping golden black egg suddenly broke through the space and appeared directly in the magma. The next moment, a mysterious rune appeared on the surface, countless rune leaves came out, inscribed around it, and the scope became wider and wider. After a few short breaths, the entire volcanic magma layer was completely shrouded in runes of Jinwu eggs, and they formed a mysterious array. In the big battle, all the fire spirits were panicked, hiding from the west and hiding in Tibet. It seemed that something terrible had happened. At this moment, the Jinwu egg suddenly emitted an infinite amount of red light, and a large burst was launched. A strange force field was generated and began to vibrate. Next, a large number of fire spirits began to explode, releasing pure fire energy, and all of this energy was absorbed by Jinwu's eggs. In the beginning, it was only low-level flames that suffered, and then the blue flames and purple flames exploded and turned into nourishment for the golden black eggs. Seeing this scene, Yi Ming was stunned and said, "Beijing, it has swallowed so much energy, is it about to hatch?" Bei Ming. Jin Wu Nai is a divine bird, not in the status of a dragon. If it wants to hatch, it naturally needs a lot of power. Boom. The array burst out, all the magma tumbling up, and Yi Ming descended rapidly. I didn't know how deep it fell, and suddenly I saw a ball of fireball containing immense terrorist forces, glowing white like the sun, and it exploded and was absorbed by the Jinwu egg. Colorless fire essence. Yi Ming took a breath of air. The colorless fire essence, equivalent to the elf of the longevity, did not even have the ability to resist. Eventually, Yi Ming settled to the lowest level, and the magma lined up, revealing a huge fire crystal cave. Inside the cave, the fire crystal spread toward the center. The farther to the center, the purer the fire crystal. In the most central position, there is a group of crystal lotus. In the middle of the lotus is a singular crystal the size of a palm. Beyond that crystal, heavy flames extinguish civilization, shaking the power of the law. Flame crystal. Yi Ming was overjoyed and was about to make a move. Suddenly there was a second burst of shock, and Fa Jing burst into pieces, turning into a chain of rules of fire, which was directly absorbed by Jinwu's eggs. The next moment, there was immense light on the eggs of Jinwu. When Yi Ming moved, he bit his finger and dropped a drop of blood on it. He has seen records from miscellaneous books that if the flow of divine birds can be raised with fine blood before breaking the shell, they can become their masters and be slaves for life. Moreover, no matter how far this bird grows, he will bow down and obey, never defy. Sure enough, the essence blood fell on the egg, and a layer of blood flashed on it. In a short time, Yi Ming had a strange feeling. He was connected to the blood of Jinwu's eggs. Even, the powerful vitality of Jinwu was connected to him. He was taken aback. What's going on? Bai Mingdao. Master, in legend, the true body of the sun goddess is actually the undead phoenix. The blood of the undead phoenix is very strange. Jinwu, as a descendant of the phoenix, must have inherited some divine characteristics. For example, the master sacrificed Jinwu eggs, if they have more vitality. In the future, once the owner is injured, they can be gradually and continuously replenished from the Jinwu eggs. Because of the sacrifice of Jinwu's eggs, Yi Ming can also sense its changes. This golden black egg is far from being born, although it has just devoured a piece of French crystal. He could even sense that if Jinwu wanted to hatch, he would need at least 100 flame crystals. Well, take a piece of Fa Jing, it's such a waste. Yi Ming was very painful. He glanced around, the entire magmatic layer was dead and all energy was devoured. It seems time to go. The people above are not easy to deal with. I will leave by the teleportation array. Then, he quickly set up the teleportation array and pointed directly at the teleportation array on the battleship. The teleportation team was made, he jumped in, and disappeared in a flash. The moment he left, the teleportation array exploded automatically and was completely destroyed. In this way, people behind him could not track him. When the eggs of Jinwu sucked and devoured the flames, the crocodile outside realized that it was wrong, but he didn't know what was happening below, so he didn't take the risk. It wasn't until later that the volcano no longer erupted, and the energy seemed to be waning, that he realized it was not good, and rushed to the crater immediately. Unfortunately, it was too late. At this time Yi Ming returned to the battleship. Success. Everyone asked immediately. Yi Ming shook his head. It succeeds, but it's a pity that this guy swallowed it up. As he said, the egg of Jinwu was revealed, and the situation was explained. Ma Shanchao said in surprise. Master, this is a good thing. Once Jinwu hatched, his strength is very scary, and it is said that it is also a series of longevity 6 realms. Even if it does not hatch, the master can use its vitality to recover himself. Encounter the enemy later. No one can kill the protagonist as long as he is not stabbed. Quote. Yi Ming felt the same, and said, however, the lost Fa Jing can sell a lot of money. The experience of the volcanic area made Yi Mingxin vigilant. It seems that aliens are more terrible than fierce beasts. When he encountered the crocodile, if he was not careful, he would have been obliterated by the hidden master. In front of the power of Changchungjing, he is not even a fart, and he can easily kill. Even if an 8-star battleship is on the side, it is too late to rescue each other. Back on the battleship, Yi Ming felt the majestic vitality transmitted by Jin Wu's eggs, and suddenly his heart moved, and he secretly said, Jin Wu's blood is strong and abnormal. Now our lives are connected and we are in the same spirit. I do and know when I am practicing, can't it affect it? Or, can it benefit my cultivation? Quote. With this in mind, he immediately sat down and practiced the golden body and 9 turns of the Supreme Trio. Before that, he had already turned 3 times, and he could already turn 4 times, but only the money on his body was given to Luo Bingxian and Feng Ling, and it has been dragged to this day. The several treasures needed for the 4 turns of the golden body are mainly to improve the vitality, so as to meet the huge consumption of the 4 turns of the golden body. Now that he has Jinwu's eggs to provide a steady stream of vitality, naturally he no longer needs those treasures that increase vitality. As soon as he was urged in the battleship, a large amount of life energy poured out from the eggs of Jinwu, injected into his body. The 4th turn of the gold body was not delayed, and a few breaths of effort rose to the top. At this time, there was a layer of glazed treasure on the surface of his body, which was extremely powerful. It was a success. Yi Ming was taken aback. He thought that the golden body would last for a long time with 4 turns. Since the Supreme Master can do it, what about God's 9 changes that day? The vitality of Jinwu egg contains 2 kinds of power. One is the powerful power of the physical body, and the other is the power of the Yuanshan. Isn't it possible to make a breakthrough? Quote. Yi Ming thought of this section and immediately began to try. The 10th change of the **** of heaven, he has already repaired the 2nd change, and now impacts the 3rd change. A powerful spiritual power suddenly emerged from the Jinwu egg. It is intertwined with Yi Ming's Yuanshan, making it extremely full, and immediately began in order to transform. The 3 changes of the gods can be carried out at any time. What shocked Yi Ming even more was that he felt that the Yuanshan in the Jinwu egg seemed to be practicing with him the 9 changes of the gods, and the 2 were undergoing simultaneous transformation. Refining the eggs of Jinwu has such great benefits. Yi Ming was shocked and delighted, and felt that the lost Fajing was also worth it. 3 changes in God, Kai. He drank softly, and his Yuan Shen slammed into a huge Jinwu, rising into the air, with imposing momentum and limitlessness. At this moment, Yi Ming's Yuanshan seemed to become Jinwu, and Jinwu seemed to be integrated into Yuanshan, so powerful. The power of the 100 dragons. A strange light shot in his eyes, and the whole cave sky shook violently, seeming to collapse at any time. With the power of Jinwu, Yi Ming's power of the Yuanshan reached the power of the horrible dragon. The strength of a ground dragon exceeds 1 billion kilograms, and the power of 100 dragons exceeds 100 billion kilograms. In other words, he can now move a mountain with a diameter of 500 meters and a height of about 1,000 meters, and has the ability to move mountains. Such a mighty power can only be possessed after reaching the heavenly realm or becoming a Valkyrie, and not everyone is so strong. As far as Shinto is concerned, at least it is only after the heavens and the heavens are quadruple that they can have such great power. Yi Ming broke through easily and was in a good mood. Then, the search compass was found again. 8,000 miles away from north to east, there was a severe natural disaster. No doubt, Fa Jing was born there again. Get off. Yi Ming immediately gave an order, and the warship Gui Lei fully urged the warship to sail to the ground. On the way of the battleship, on the 6-star battleship left behind, a message came from the battleship. There was an alien invasion. The 6-star battleship was seriously damaged and had fled the scene. What? Is there a foreign invasion? Yi Ming hesitated for a moment, or decided to take a look. After all, Wu Chenying is still a great general of the dynasty. If you encounter such things, you must explain it. He and Wu Chenying immediately returned to the 6-star battleship through a teleportation. As soon as the two arrived at the 6-star battleship, they felt that the ship was shaking and the huge battleship was running away. At the rear, a black serpentine warship was chasing after it, and it kept firing. With each shot, the 6-star battleship shakes fiercely, and it obviously can't hold it for long. Damn. What is the origin of the other party? Why do you have to bite it? Yi Ming was Chenying also sought help from the big reward through the messenger. Soon, the news came from Marshal and Xie, who ordered Wu Chenying to delay the enemy, otherwise the military law would dispose of it. When Yi Ming heard these orders, he sneered again and again, that anxiety doesn't want Chenying to live. Wu Chenying frowned. As a general, she could not disobey the military order, knowing it was dangerous, she could only execute it. Yi Ming is not a big general. He grabbed Wu Chenying and called the war puppet to enter the teleportation circle together. Fa Gen Wu Sol. The next moment, the two returned to the 8-star battleship. Soon after they left, a red light hit the battleship, which immediately disintegrated and exploded. If Yi Ming and Wu Chenying left for a while, they would be killed. On the 8-star battleship, Wu Chenying frowned. Yi Ming, defying military orders is to be executed. Don't you have to die if you don't disobey the military order? That anxiety is obviously hurting you, and you actually killed him. Yi Ming shook his head. Now, everyone else thinks that your general is dead, you have nothing to worry about. Wu Chenying. But then, I can't ask for credit for you. Yi Ming. What kind of merit is invited? Treasures of the continent are full of treasures, so don't forget military merit. Wu Chenying sighed softly. She knew that she would no longer be the general of the 5 elements gods and would belong to Her Majesty completely. Ma Shanchao said, "It's better. Following the protagonist is far more promising than in the 5 elements god dynasty. In my opinion, this so-called dynasty is afraid that it will not last long." Speaking, the Guanghua on the search compass scrolled violently, showing that the north-south quarter position was violent, and a severe natural disaster was taking place. Yeah, Yi Ming's eyes were frozen. So much movement, what happened there? Anika glanced at the location of the scourge, and suddenly screamed, "It's the undead swamp, the undead swamp is on." Yi Ming asked, "Where is this necropolis? What surprised you so much?" Anika's pretty face was filled with panic. The necromancy is one of the 3 weirdest and most dangerous places on the land of the demon continent. It is one of the 3 restricted areas of life. According to legend, terrible creatures live in the forbidden area, and with a terrible curse, even if longevity enters it, it may not be able to live. Quote. Ming Qi said, "The eternal life is so powerful. So to say, it is extremely dangerous here." Anika. Yes. But even so, whenever the necropolis is opened, countless forces will enter it regardless of the danger and look for treasures. There are treasures in the death swamp. Yi Ming said, "What treasures are also Fa Jing?" Anika shook her head. Of course it is not Fa Jing. The necromancy is actually a relic of civilization. The civilization inside was extremely brilliant. It is a super civilization with the Lord God. For some reason, it has fallen, and all living beings have become dead. Spirit. Afterwards, this civilization seals itself and opens it every tens of thousands of years or thousands of years. Every time it is opened, a large number of strong people smell the wind, hoping that people will find it in the relics of super civilization. Quote. Yi Ming moved, and said, "In that case, I would go in and try my luck. After all, it is a relic of super civilization. Maybe I can gain something." Anika shook her head again and again. "You must not go. The providence in the necropolis is in a state of chaos. The people in it are cultivated to rise and fall. Sometimes, the strong will be crushed into the weak, Sometimes, the weak instead, they will become strong. In short, the inside is extremely chaotic, and the people who enter it are almost dead. Quote. Yi Ming was taken aback. There is still God in it, isn't the main asterisk of this civilization yet to fall? Generally speaking, after the birth of the Lord God, it will be fused with heaven. Since the providence exists in the necropolis, does the Lord God still exist? At this moment, the treasure hunt rat suddenly jumped with excitement, his eyes staring at the front, and there was exactly where the dead swamp appeared. Yi Ming moved his heart and said, "It seems that there are treasures in the necropolis." Yi Ming hesitated for a moment, and said, "This necrotic swamp, I must go." Anika also persuaded. Ma Shanchao said, "Since the host thinks he can go, then go. It is impossible to get benefits if you seek wealth and danger without risk." Yi Ming laughed. "You still understand Shanchao?" Seeing unable to persuade, Anika said, "Okay, but you must be careful. Most people who enter the necropolis are aliens. Masters in the alien race are like clouds. It's best to avoid them and not directly conflict with them." Quote. Yi Ming, "I will be careful." Then ordered the battleship to move at full speed. For a moment, Yi Ming saw the air ahead, with various warships densely packed, and countless aliens or fierce beasts gathered outside. He immediately became careful, ordered the 8-star battleship to dock a long distance, then opened the Ruyi robe to stealth, and quietly approached. Seeing that, he was going to pass through the alien races, but it was a coincidence that the crocodile who had seen it once was one of them. The crocodile was talking and laughing with another alien. Suddenly he turned his head and shot 2 rays of cold mang in his eyes, drinking, "You are not dead." Yi Ming was startled, knowing that he had been spotted, but he never understood how the other party found him. But now this is the time to think about this. His feet exerted force, and immediately before a dark mist. As long as you pass this heavy black mist, you can enter the nervous marsh. Standing in front of the black mist, Yi Ming didn't know whether he should go in or not. Just stop, reveal his figure, and watch the crocodiles persecute. The crocodile stopped in 10 steps. He stared at Yi Ming and said, "Since you haven't died, you must have gotten those Fa Jing." When I heard that there was Fa Jing, the eyes of the aliens around it suddenly became hot. These aliens are all kinds of people. Some of them are initially human, but some are not human at all. For example, one of the aliens is simply a dark green gelatinous substance, the other is a looming chi, but it contains a powerful force field. Yi Ming knew that these aliens were not easy to deal with, so he was very calm and laughed. "We are meeting again." The crocodile sneered, "Why don't you call me master, your slave? Don't you even have credibility?" Yi Ming shook his head. People never talk about honesty with animals, and animals are used for teasing. Animal. The crocodile clearly didn't understand the term. He didn't understand it, but some other races understood it. A stranger with a horse face reminded him that animals are the low-end creatures raised by human beings, some of which are used to eat and some are sold to make money. Upon hearing this, the crocodile was furious. "You are almost looking for death." After that, he fit and rushed to Yi Ming. The reason why Yi Ming did not pretend to be a grandson like the previous time, because the gangster on his body did not feel the existence of the strong one. Since life is not threatened, why continue to pretend to be humble? Immediately abusive, the crocodile was furious and shot. As soon as the crocodile shot, Yi Ming reached out and shoved, leading to an outbreak of Dazhengli. The crocodile felt that a force of suction was pulling him, even pulling him in. "Go!" Yi Ming yelled, and then led Da Junli to hold the crocodile, and the two rushed into the fog together. Seeing the lively aliens were startled, some exclaimed, "Oops!" At this time, the nervous marsh is the most dangerous, even the longevity is afraid to enter, but the crocodiles are afraid of being finished. The crocodile was actually a prince, but he was pulled into danger by a humble human being, and he deserves it. There are also aliens who ridiculed, and were very happy about the situation of the crocodile. At this moment, Yi Ming and the crocodile had broken into the black mist. As soon as he entered, Yi Ming felt as if he had fallen into another world, surrounded by nothingness, and then fell quickly. After falling for a quarter of an hour, he felt his feet on the ground and his eyes finally saw the landscape in front of him. When you look at it, it is a huge swamp, with grayish hues everywhere, and even the water plants on the swamp are gray. Coupled with the gray sky, this world is lifeless, but full of the smell of death and extinction. On the other side, the crocodile's expression of horror shouted at Yi Ming, "You idiot! Reptile! Do you know how dangerous the deadly swamp now is? You actually pulled me in, and the prince will kill you." Quote. The crocodile was so angry that he hurled fiercely at Yi Ming. This time, he exhausted all his strength, bursting out a horrible power, and raised Jin Yan all over his body. This crocodile is a genius in the clan, invincible at the same level, even if it is among the hundreds, it is considered to be of good qualifications. Unfortunately, he met Yi Ming, his body turned 5 times, his gods changed 3 times, and his strength was outrageous. Somehow, Yi Ming's palm already grabbed the 2 wrists of the crocodile. No matter how hard the latter is and how they struggle, they cannot move. In front of Yi Ming, it was as weak as an ant and vulnerable. Yi Ming stared at the other person's eyes and said, "I used to call your master, but where are you worthy, because you are not even human. If it weren't for a strong man behind you, you would have been dead." Click. His arm trembled, and his horrific power burst. The crocodile's body exploded, his bones spilled over the ground, and he could not die anymore. The Vajra leaned out his head at the moment, uttering words, scornfully, "Master, it's too weak, it's not an opponent at all, but the master is too bad, and he is obviously a level off, but he can kill the opponent." Yi Ming. "Not that he is weak, but that I am strong enough." After that, he reached up and picked up the storage ring of the crocodile, which was still stained with ground meat. Dry the ring, and Yi Ming closed it up without looking. He had also beheaded his opponent before, and found the ring without checking it when he wanted to come. Even if the contents were suitable for use, it would not be possible to take them out. Even if the contents were worth more, he would not be able to sell them immediately. Since it can't be sold and used now, just don't look at it packing the ring, he asked, "Vinyl, I'll call you Xiaogang in the future." The donkey blinked his eyes, but said nothing about the name. "It's the master. Yi Ming. Xiaogang, how do you feel?" The Vajra looked around and said, "Master, the providence is very confusing, even madness. I have a strong sense of crisis and I don't want to be here for a moment." Yi Ming nodded. "Your cultivation is high and your strength is strong, so you can sense God's will. But I don't feel anything." But the crocodile said that at this moment, the dead swamp at the moment is extremely dangerous, we must be careful. After that, he summoned the treasure hunt rat and asked, "Little treasure, can you find it?" However, the strange thing was that the treasure hunt rat at this time shrank into a ball and kept shaking, and there was no way to find treasure. Yi Ming put a ray of true power into the treasure hunter's body, which was slightly better, but his small eyes were still full of terror. The donkey mouse said, "Master, the treasure hunting mouse is very sensitive to 5 senses. It must have felt a huge threat and was terrified." Yi Ming reluctantly said, "That being the case, where we don't go, we just wait for a while in order to avoid encountering the dangers that Xiaobao feels." The words didn't fall away. Dozens of miles away, and suddenly hundreds of millions of light burst into the sky. Even Yi Ming felt that a different treasure was born. And the light was obscured by the black mist again, and there seemed to be the sound of ghosts crying. Yi Ming couldn't sit still, and murmured, "I'm idle and idle. Rather than being stupid, it's better to go and see the excitement. I hide my signs so that people don't find out." Having said that, he hid his body, then brought Xiaobao and Vajra, and rushed towards the incident at full speed. Dozens of miles, it's here in an instant. After a few hundred steps, he saw the light shining from a small pond. Around the small pond, there were no living creatures appearing empty and empty. "No one, do you want to see it?" Yi Ming muttered to himself. The king mouse warned. "Don't move, I feel extremely dangerous there." Yi Ming was startled. As a strong man, of course, the Congo was far more acute than his feelings. So he immediately fell dormant and watched it change. The waterside is still so quiet, it's a little weird, and even the light before that doesn't come out anymore. It seems like a small waterhole that is too ordinary. Yi Ming was so anxious that 1 hour passed and 2 hours passed, and he remained still. Finally, as time approached 3 hours, a plume of black smoke rose from the dead leaves by the pond. The black smoke twisted a few times, and suddenly hit the ground dozens of steps away. Puff! Everything was silent again, and black smoke seemed to lurk underground. But Yi Ming didn't move, because he thought the black smoke was not easy, so he stared at the place where the black smoke disappeared. About half a quarter of an hour, something on the ground was arched from below, and a highly rotten palm protruded from below. It can be judged from this palm that this is a human hand, and it is half as much as the average human palm. Immediately afterwards, the other palm also protruded, and then the whole body crawled out from below the ground. This is a human body. According to the measurement of the earth, the body is nearly 3 meters tall and very tall. The corpse's arms were long, strong and powerful, and he was wearing a tattered armor, and I don't know how many years. The corpse stood up staggering, and in the hollow eyes, weird black light shot out, which made people dare not look squarely. Yi Ming was surprised. He knew that the corpse had been attached by the black smoke before, presumably the black smoke should be the evil spirit. Xiao Gang, what do you think of this monster's strength? He asked the donkey secretly. King Kong said, Master, this strange strength is above me. Yi Ming's face turned white. What? Better than you? Donkey Kong. Yes, and it will get stronger. God, it's so strong to just run out of an evil spirit. Yi Ming was speechless for a while, and felt that this dead spirit swamp was too dangerous. This time, he didn't dare to take any shots. He had to stay where he was, and the atmosphere didn't dare. After the corpse walked around the puddle, it suddenly jumped in. A few air bubbles appeared on the surface, and they fell silent again. Yi Ming looked at it for a while and said, Xiao Gang, that monster should go down to find the baby. What should we do? Continue to wait. After all, this Vajra is the native of the Tianyao continent. Most of the time, Yi Ming has to seek his opinion. This diamond rat was very unpleasant to be conquered by Yi Ming at first, but with the increase of time with each other, it found that Yi Ming had more and more potential. Although the current master is far below his strength, in the not-too-distant future he will surely become one of the most powerful. With this prejudgment, the upset in King Kong's heart suddenly disappeared. After all, a ferocious beast is a ferocious beast. If you don't find a strong one to rely on, you will have this level in your life, and it is difficult to improve it. But if you go to a strong man, the achievement will far exceed the present, and the benefits will be countless. Therefore, this Vajra is very enthusiastic about Yi Ming and must answer any questions. Master, if the treasure here is precious, there will never be only one such evil thing. If there is only one such evil thing, I am afraid that the things below are not worth much money. Donkey Mouse. Yes, I think the baby below is extraordinary, there should be monsters. The voice didn't fall, it suddenly stopped. Because at this moment, dozens of black lights burst out from all directions. They did not stop for a moment, and directly poured into the water pond. Strangely, these black lights entered the water without forming a ripple, and entered silently. Ming's eyes widened and he said, Xiao Gang, you're right, there really are monsters. They are not weak. Vajra. Yes, the master, and 13 monsters have joined the ranks of treasure hunters, and each one's strength is not under me. Yi Ming smiled bitterly. So I'm afraid we have no chance. It's the opposite. The Vajra Mung Bean's eyes shot differently. Don't the owner notice that this so-called disappearing super civilization is created by the human race? Yi Ming's heart leapt frantically and shouted, yeah, that corpse is a human corpse. Doesn't this mean that the civilization here is most likely a human civilization? Vajra Rat. The owner is a human being, and human beings should have easier access to the legacy of human civilization. As for these monsters, they are all undead. They are definitely not human. Hearing what the Vajra rat said, Yi Ming was eager to try, and said, "That's it, we will act now." Having said that, the Vajra rat said, "Master, the aliens outside are rushing in large numbers." It turned out that the aliens thought that the dangerous moment had passed and successively passed through the black mist and entered the necropolis. They also obviously sensed the vision here and rushed towards this side. Yi Ming knew that it was not too late. Once discovered by the aliens behind, it would likely be confined to trouble. So he no longer hesitated, plunged into the puddle, and began to dive quickly. Less than half an hour later, a large number of aliens arrived. However, they did not dare to enter the pool immediately, and most of them looked nearby to determine what was happening here. "I feel the power of evil, they are at the bottom of the pool," an alien made of gas said in a weird tone. "I smelled the human race." Another bear head, with red feathers on his back, and a very tall alien said with a snout, burning fierce flames in his eyes. He seemed to regard humans as prey. "The crocodile was brought into this place by a human race." "Is that the one?" said another alien looking like a snake. His body was covered with scales. Although he was human, he had no legs, only a snake tail, and he was born. There are 4 arms, twisting back and forth while walking, very weird. The alien of Shangsho sniffed again and said, "Yes, I also smelled the crocodile's breath. He seems to be dead." "What? Dead?" The aliens were so shocked that the human could kill the crocodiles. "The realm of the other party seems not so high." The bear's alien said to himself, "Yes, the crocodile is dead, and I can even smell the horror and terror he showed before he died." The bear head alien pointed at the waterhole. "He has entered the waterhole. Really bold." An alien who sneered like a horse with a lower body, "I will catch him first flesh." "That human being is gone, what are we waiting for?" The Daxia civilization is human civilization. As a human being, he is easier to find inheritance and treasures than us. We must set off immediately. The bear head alien said. The aliens nodded, one after another jumped into the puddle and began the adventure. However, he said that immediately after entering the water pond, Yi Ming felt that the water was extremely heavy and even heavier than 1 yuan of heavy water. The water in the pond is 3,000 times heavier than ordinary water. Therefore, the pressure in the water is extremely high, and those who are weak will not be able to withstand the moment they enter, and will be forced to float up. Fortunately, Yi Ming has just broken through the 3 changes of the gods and can protect himself with the gods. Moreover, his golden body 5 turns is not vegetarian, and his ability to resist stress is very strong. 10 meters, 100 meters, the puddle is extremely deep. He has been sneaking for hundreds of meters and has not seen the end. The water pressure at a depth of several hundred meters has already exceeded 10 billion kilograms, and even he is very strenuous. Similarly, the later aliens were also under horrific pressure. When they tried more than 50 meters, most of the aliens had been forced to flee and return to the surface in despair. Because if you go further, they will be squashed alive. By the time of 100 meters, there were less than 20 aliens still diving, and the number was still decreasing. Yi Ming gritted his teeth and kept walking down, but he couldn't hold on until 500 meters. He had no choice but to open the Ruyi robe and urge the avoiding water crystal. Ruyi robes can share some of the pressure, and the effect of avoiding water and crystals is more obvious. Zhu Cheng's pressure is isolated, and he is extremely relaxed at the moment. When he continued to dive, the aliens were not so lucky. Only a dozen aliens ended up with only 5. All 5 have their own abilities. One of them is in a gas state. From a distance, it is a purple smoke. The water pressure has little effect on him. The second alien, the bear head, was the one who smelled Yi Ming. He was wearing a blue armor, enough to withstand water pressure. The third alien, the snake-tailed human body, swelled into a huge leather ball, which has a strong pressure resistance. The fourth alien, the lower body is a horse body, and the upper body is a human body. He rapped and seemed to be able to fight the pressure. The fifth alien did not look like a creature, and looked like a tree at all, with its roots swaying, like the tentacles of an octopus, and seemed to care nothing about the powerful water pressure. After diving for more than 1,000 meters, Yi Ming's feet finally landed on the ground. He hid his body and looked around vigilantly. However, he didn't find those terrible people who had entered the pool before. Where did they go? The bottom of the pond is golden sand, and occasionally a reef exposes the sand. He walked quietly under the water so that he could find something. The treasure hunt mouse seemed to recover slightly, although there were still dangers around it, but it was not as scared as before. Treasure hunter leaned out his head, his nose twitched, and his little paw suddenly pointed to the front left position, and he waved again and again, seemed very excited. What? Yi Ming asked as he hurried in the direction indicated by Xiaobao. After walking about 500 or 600 meters, he saw a large swath of red, green, and green corals, which were strangely shaped and glowed with all kinds of strange light. He suddenly lost his interest and said, "Little treasure, just some corals, where is there any treasure?" Immediately after speaking, he suddenly snapped, reached out and knocked on the coral, making a sound of gold and iron, feeling very firm and extremely hard. "What coral is this? Why is it so hard?" he exclaimed, immediately exerting his magic power, taking out the iron rod taken from the huge skull ear, and shaking it slightly, it turned into a saw. He pulled the saw on the coral a few times, and saw only white marks and no damage. This time he was even more surprised. "You know, this Ruyi stick is very strong." Hard. At least he didn't find anything harder than it, but even such a hard saw cannot actually cut the coral, showing how hard it is. The Vajra looked for a while and couldn't help but say, "Master, this is not a coral, it is a dragon horn." Yi Ming was startled. "What? Dragon horns? Not corals?" He immediately leaned down, embracing a coral with both hands, and pulled hard. "You know, he has 5 turns of gold, 3 changes in the gods, has the power of 100 dragons, and his strength has already exceeded 100 billion kilograms. Even so, he barely pulled out the coral. When he finally saw the true face of coral, the whole man was dumb. Below the so-called coral, there is actually a huge dragon head, as big as a hill. Quote. This is really a dragon horn. There are so many dragons buried here. He was shocked and stood on the spot. The Vajra carefully observed the dragon's remains and said with emotion, "Master, these dragons were all true dragons before their lives. Each one was a strong man with a rank of 8 or more lives. I did not expect to die so many. This is the graveyard of the dragons." Quote. Yi Ming shook his head again and again, pointing to a huge hole in the dragon's skull and saying, "This is the fingerprint, this dragon was shot with a finger." The hair of the Vajra rat was blown up, and he cried, "Should he be shot with one finger? Who shot? Is it the Lord God?" Yi Ming shook his head. "I don't know." Then he shook his head. "It doesn't matter how the true dragon died, what's important is that these dragon horns are worthless. I remember once in a book that dragon horns are the essence of the true dragon and can be refined into a peerless soldiers. Quote. The Vajra nodded again and again. Exactly. This dragon horn is worth a lot. There are at least 60 pairs of dragon horns here. The owner is rich now. In other words, he immediately moved the dragon horns into the storage ring one after another, and there were a total of 64 true dragon heads and 128 dragon horns. With so many dragon horns packed away, Yi Ming Chang breathed a sigh of relief, and even if there was nothing to gain, he was worthy of the trip. He estimated that the value of this dragon horn is worth hundreds of millions of long-lived coins. After all, this stuff is very scarce, and it may not be able to buy it for money. Of course, the sales of dragon horn is a problem, and he cannot sell it all at once. Yi Ming was doing his accounting. The treasure hunt rat suddenly waved his little paw. As soon as it waved his claw, Yi Ming was happy. He knew that he had found the treasure again. Following Xiaobao's instructions, he hurried forward to the right for thousands of meters, and saw a huge white metal ball, tens of meters in diameter, suspended in midair like that. On the metal ball, there are dozens of black smoke swimming back and forth. I seem to want to drill towards the metal ball. Yi Ming recognized at a glance that these black smoke were the first terrible monsters to enter the pool. His scalp was numb and he backed up again and again, eventually hiding behind a reef and observing from a distance. As soon as I stood still, I saw that the metal ball cracked a hole, shot thousands of light from it, directly broke through the pond, and went straight into the sky. The light he had seen before was that this metal could not emit. What? He said in surprise, his eyes blinking and staring at the metal ball. This look, really see the doorway. It turned out that the metal ball was densely covered with countless warp and weft lines, separating the metal ball into 900 million areas. In each area, a strange symbol is written. Whenever the latitude and longitude rotate, a different symbol arrangement is formed. Yi Ming immediately calculated with an octal array and combined with symbols, he quickly discovered some clues. He was about to continue to calculate, and suddenly heard a strange noise behind him. He turned his head and saw that 5 aliens were walking towards him. He said that when the 5 aliens finally reached the bottom of the pond, they looked around immediately, but they did not gain anything. Until the metal ball glowed, they immediately attracted them. Seeing not far away was Yi Ming, the faces of the 5 aliens all showed offensive expressions. This little reptile really is here. Shangsho alien sneered, looking at Yi Ming's eyes full of hostility. Yi Ming was not afraid of the 5 aliens, but he was worried that if the two sides conflicted, they would attract the attention of the monsters on the metal ball, so he flew towards one side and wanted to leave the neighborhood. But as soon as he moved, the 5 aliens also moved, and he surrounded him in the middle, apparently did not want him to leave. Yi Ming frowned. He didn't want to do anything, which didn't mean he was afraid of the other party. He said coldly, "What are you guys doing to stop me?" The snake-faced man drank. "You slay the reptile, the crocodile." Yi Ming sneered. "Reptiles? The crocodiles were killed by reptiles. Isn't he even worse than reptiles? You must also be from 100 races, aren't all 100 races better than reptiles?" Presumptuous. Jack. Damn. Yi Ming smiled, pointing at the metal fairway not far away. "A bunch of idiots, you better be louder. See if there is anything on the metal ball. They are evil here, and each has the strength of a longevity. Once they are brought in, all your cattle will die." Quote. The 5 aliens were taken aback. They had long felt that the smoky creatures on the metal ball were not easy to deal with. They didn't expect to be so powerful, and they couldn't help but burst out. "Kill me. As long as you are one step closer, I will yell, and lead the batch of dead spirits, and everyone will be finished." Yi Ming said fiercely, "I'm a small person anyway, and you are all elites of 100 races. Otherwise, it will not be possible to reach the bottom of the pond. Lao Tzu will not be regarded as unjust if you are buried with the elites of your hundreds of ethnic groups." Quote. As soon as this remark was made, the 5 aliens showed weird expressions, and they were caught by Yi Ming in no time. "Squibble, shameful reptile, spare your life today." The gas alien made a low voice. Yi Ming knew that the 5 were not simple. 3 of them had reached the level of the gods. It was definitely not easy to deal with. He did not really conflict. However, the arrogance of these aliens made him very upset. He smiled coldly and did not move half a step. The 5 aliens could not take Yi Ming, they simply ignored him and discussed it on their own. The horse body alien said, "In my observation, this metal ball is a mysterious organ forbidden. Only by cracking it can we enter it." The snake face alien said, "In my knowledge, this metal ball should be a teleportation array, which will send us to the core area of the Daxia civilization, where there must be a lot of treasures buried." Yi Ming's heart moved. Daxia civilization. Is this big summer related to the Shah dynasty on the Earth? Last time he went to the Earth, he read a lot of books, history, poetry, novels, and almost became a library. He naturally knew about the Shah dynasty. An idea in his heart, he couldn't help but said, "Is there a person named Dayu in the civilization?" "But a person named Hui?" The five aliens looked at them together, and the gas alien said, "You reptile has a bit of knowledge, but you actually know Deu and Hui." Yi Ming's inner shock cannot be added. This Daxia civilization can advance to a super civilization. At least it has a history of millions of years. It is extinct even hundreds or tens of millions of years. But on Earth, the Shah dynasty is only a few thousand years away from today. What is the difference between them? Is Deu Hui here different from Deu Hui on Earth? Are they all the same person? Turning his thoughts in his heart, he deliberately sneered, "Who doesn't know the Daxia civilization? Unfortunately, it has become extinct. Otherwise our people will already be equal to the people." Fart. With your group of reptiles, you still want to step on the heads of hundreds of ethnic groups. The bear-headed alien suddenly became furious. How brilliant is the Daxia civilization 5 million years ago? What about it? It was not easily wiped out by the Protoss with a curse. Quote. Yi Ming sneered. So what? When one big summer dies, there will be a second big summer rising. The gas alien smiled. Hey, unfortunately, reptiles, do you know how many powerful human civilizations like Daxia have perished from ancient times to the present? There are only 6 of them that I know. None of them survived. Jing. If there is a Daxia civilization in the future, it will still be wiped out. Do you know why? The 3 Protoss control everything, and they are the center of the universe. No one can disobey them. Quote. Yi Ming's heart was cold. So many human civilizations have died. What is it for? Why do Protoss do this? According to the other party, it seems that these human civilizations appeared one after another before the human ancestor. Is the reason that the ancestors disintegrated the mainland was related to several mass extinctions in history. With a doubt in his heart, he, laughed and said, "So what? I can break the curse early and build a more powerful and glorious civilization than Daxia." Dream. The 5 aliens showed contempt, and the gas alien said, "The cursed only cast a curse, and Da Shah will be extinct. If his old man tried his best, what civilization could not be perished? Is it 10? This big summer is not worth mentioning to the Protoss." Quote. There was a sadness in Yi Ming's heart. Is the human being really so vulnerable to the speaking of which, there was a strange and inexplicable power landing. For a moment, Yi Ming felt that his power was suppressed to the stage of the great martial artist. He could not use Yuantian and could only urge some strength. The 5 aliens were even more miserable, mourning directly to the ground, and seemed to suffer great pain. On the metal ball, the dozens of black smokes were suppressed the hardest, and they directly condensed into dozens of black light balls, which rolled off the metal balls. Heaven is chaotic. Our cultivation has been suppressed. Suddenly, the bear-headed alien jumped up and started, laughing. Those necrotic forces are suppressed even harder. We don't have to worry about them now. Quote. 5 aliens stared at Yi Ming with expressions of dead people. Since they are not afraid of the undead, there is no need to worry about Yi Ming's threat. They can now get rid of him. Yi Ming sneered and asked, "Do you 5 idiots know how to get into this metal ball?" The gas alien said, "Reptile, how can your wisdom understand the mystery of the metal ball? I tell you. There are countless changes in this metal ball, and there are countless explanations for each change. Only to understand the above rune representative meaning, it's possible to find out the unique permutations and combinations to open the metal ball." Quote. Yi Ming felt that they had underestimated these aliens before. The other party was right. This is the way to crack the metal ball. But can the other party understand the meaning of these symbols? Why, reptile, don't you think it's incredible? The gas alien sneered. But you have no chance to think about it, because you will soon die. Dead man. Yi Ming sneered, suddenly full of strength, rushed directly onto the metal ball. Several aliens were shocked and followed. But after their strength was reduced, it was very difficult to move in heavy water. They acted as slowly as snails, as fast as Yi Ming. After all, only Yi Ming could avoid the water, and his movements were almost unlimited. The 5 aliens hated their teeth, and could only watch Yi Ming get on a metal ball, playing with it constantly. I saw Yi Ming reaching out and slamming on the metal ball. Within a moment, the countless areas on the metal ball moved up and arranged at an incredible speed. Just a moment of effort, the metal ball clicked, and a square channel cracked open, as if a metal ladder connected to it. How did you do that? The gas alien asked in shock. Yi Ming said lightly. Because these runes are actually civilizations that have appeared in human civilization, and I just read a lot of history books and generally recognize these words, so I can crack the ban on the organs in the first place. I don't have time to kill you now. After speaking, he slid into the square entrance. The next moment, the entrance was merged, and the metal ball suddenly spun up at high speed, emitting immense light. After a while, the metal ball disappeared and I didn't know where to go. Damn. Actually, this reptile grabbed the first move, ******** it. Shongsho alien scolded and couldn't accept this fact. At this time, Yi Ming had moved to a strange space with the metal ball instantly. This space is silver white, and words constantly appear in the void, expressing profound meaning. Yi Ming glanced left and right, and found nothing, saying to himself, what is this place? Afterlife, what's your name? Suddenly, a voice sounded. Yi Ming turned around quickly, and saw a tall white-robed old man slowly walking out of nothingness, like a giant. His incomparable kindness, majesty, like the incarnation of heaven, made people admire. Yi Ming bowed down and bowed down. The younger Yi Ming, see the predecessors of the Daxia civilization. His respect for the old man, from his heart, there is no trace of water. After all, the Daxia civilization is the super civilization of the Lord God, and it is the pride of the human race. The old man smiled and said, child, get up, I'm Daxia's last monarch, Emperor Fat. Yi Ming jumped in his heart and quickly asked, are you Emperor Fat? Isn't your son the Xia dynasty tyrant? Xia Ming. Xia Zan. The old man sighed softly. As a traitor, he should have such an evaluation. After speaking, his face was calm again, and said, child, I am just a ray of thought projection, I can't live forever. You are ready, I will pass the seeds of civilization of Daxia to you. Ming was startled. The seed of civilization. Wouldn't it be tremendous? How could he bear? DFA said. You don't need to worry about it. The seed of civilization cannot be opened until your cultivation is strong enough, so its impact on you is limited. Yi Ming was relieved and said, the juniors are willing to accept it. However, what effect does this seed of civilization have? As recorded in the book, can a civilization be passed on? Emperor Fat said, only the main ***** can condense the seeds of civilization. A civilization seed can carry all the wisdom of a civilization. As long as the soil is suitable, it will be able to rebuild a civilization. Yi Ming. The juniors may not be able to take on this big task, but the juniors will go all out. DFA nodded with satisfaction, saying, child, human civilization has been sinking and floating, it has been down and down for several times, and it has been glorious. I hope you can prevent the old things from repeating themselves and make people stand on top of all peoples. Yi Ming. There is something unknown about the younger generation. What is the relationship between the tribe's homeland and Xia dynasty and Daxia? Why have the same name and the same person? The emperor sighed softly and said, all these are the means of human ancestors. Human ancestors. You know human ancestors. Yi Ming almost jumped up. Human ancestors were later people. When he was born, the Daxia civilization was over. How did the predecessors know his existence? Emperor expressed his admiration and said, child, the ancestors' cultivation has reached an incredible state. He cut off the river of time, pushed up millions of years, even tens of millions of years, and opened many brilliant civilizations. Yi Ming was shocked. How is it possible? Does it directly affect the past and change the current situation? How did he do it? In front of the Lord God, there is nothing impossible, not to mention he is the superpower of the Lord God. Emperor Fat said. Yi Ming. So, all brilliant human civilizations were created by the ancestors. You can say that. DFA said. The ancestors reversed their time and went to the past to educate human beings. This gave birth to the super civilizations such as Dashang, Dasha, and Rome. Unfortunately, the three major Protoss are too powerful. Erase it. Yi Ming now understands why the characters on the Earth appeared in ancient times. It was the ancestors who brought them to the past, and then helped them create one brilliant civilization after another. Shocked, Yi Ming did not forget to ask for benefits, and said, "Senior, I don't know if there are treasures here." Emperor smiled. "In order to allow you to grow as quickly as possible, naturally I will give you some treasure." The words fell, and a simple ring landed from the void and was taken by Yi Ming. The ring is light and fluttering, but Yi Ming has an illusion, as if holding a world. It is very important. This is. Yi Ming was startled. Inside is a big world. Diffa nodded. With your current practice, you can only open up some space, and you can only get treasures. However, as your strength increases, you can open more treasures. These treasures are placed in the large Sha is also very rare, you have to be rare. Quote. Yes. Yi Ming was overjoyed. Come on, kid. Diffa's projection faded away. The ball of time and space will send you back to the place where I have given you the method of refining. The projection faded, and the message of refining the ball of time and space really appeared in Yi Ming's mind. At that time, the ball of space was just that huge metal ball, which had the magical effect of breaking time and space, and it was the heavy weapon of the Daxia civilization. Of course, with Yi Ming's current strength, he has not been able to refine it, and at least it will take the gods to try it out. Boom. Without waiting for him to understand, the ball of time and space has returned to its origin and reappeared at the bottom of the pool. Yi Ming jumped out of the ball of time and space, and the metal ball immediately shrank into the size of a palm, jumped into his palm, and he was put into a storage ring. The 5 aliens had already left, and they could never have imagined that Yi Ming would return from the same place. They had been there for a long time, and went on searching for treasures. Returning to the bottom of the lake, Yi Ming found that the oppressive force was still there, and he was not in a hurry to go ashore. He first took out Dasha's ring and tried it, and it opened a space of 100 miles. To his disappointment, this space is full of purple golden bamboo, and there is no such thing as a treasure. Forget it. It seems that in the short term, I don't want to benefit from it. He sighed, and put his ring back again. Little treasure. He called the treasure hunt rat. Look again, are there any valuables at the bottom of this pond? The treasure hunt rat should be completely recovered. It pumped around smartly. It moved its nose for a long time, and unfortunately shook its small head. Yi Ming muttered a few words and could only leave the puddle. Diffa's projection existed for a short time, and he did not ask certain things, such as how Daxia perished, and where the treasures of Daxia were hidden. He had no choice but to find it by himself. Pool, there was a quiet surrounding. Yi Ming glanced back at the pool water, and, this water is heavier than a yuan of heavy water. What kind of water is it? The Vajra rat said. Master, this is the golden light water, the best thing to train weapons. Oh, it must be worth some money. Thinking of this, he immediately waved his hand, and the golden water in the water pool immediately emptied into the ring of the big summer storage, flooding the bamboo forest inside. Yi Ming received Jingguang heavy water and didn't care, but he didn't know that those purple golden bamboos were poured by Jingguang heavy water and instantly gave out immense golden light, and the bamboo body appeared metallic luster, and it kept deepening. After receiving the golden light, Yi Ming picked a direction and walked in a hurry, and asked Xiaobao occasionally if he found something. After more than an hour, the pressure suddenly disappeared, and his strength was completely restored. But instead of being relaxed, he was vigilant. It is comfortable without suppression, but those powerful necroms have recovered their strength, and once they encounter them, they will be very dangerous. Not long after, Yi Ming continued to walk, a thin light shot from a distance, locking him instantly. He was suddenly shocked, his body flickered and even flew, but he couldn't escape the thin light. A few moments later, 6 aliens landed in place. In addition to the 5 aliens who appeared at the bottom of the pool, there was also an elderly alien. The image of this old alien is similar to that of the dead crocodile. Sure enough, the old man stared at Yi Ming and asked, "Humble reptile, did you kill the crocodile?" Yi Ming knew that he was in trouble this time. The opponent was very strong, and the wolverine might not be the opponent. "Shao Gang, can you stop him?" Yi Ming asked. The Vajra was helpless. "Master, even if I have the same strength as him, I can't stop him, let alone protect his master." Yi Ming understands this truth. The difficulty of protecting himself and protecting others is very different. The donkey mouse really cannot protect him. He calmed down quickly and said, "I didn't kill the crocodile, but they killed it." After that, he pointed fiercely at the 5 aliens who appeared at the bottom of the pool. The old alien was taken aback and looked at the 5 aliens with suspicion. The 5 aliens were shocked and angry, scolding each other. "What are you talking about, reptiles? Have we killed alligator?" Yi Ming sneered. "You think it's okay to frame me? The crocodile is my master. He promised me that he would give me a good future, so I will serve him willingly." "It's nonsense. You pulled the crocodile into this place," the gas alien said. Yi Ming: "Yes, I pulled the host here, and that's why we can discover the treasures at the bottom of the pond as soon as possible. Unfortunately, these 5 scums have appeared. In order to rob the treasure, you or harm my master is dead. If I hadn't seen it quickly, I would have been killed by you already." Several people were said to be stupid. Yi Ming is a sprayer. "You don't need a knife to old alien" was also said to be stingy. He stared at the 5 aliens and asked sternly, "5 you kill the crocodiles?" The Shongsho alien angered. "Aurora, are you confused? We are all princes of 100 races, how could we harm the crocodiles?" The snake-faced alien stared at Yi Ming and asked, "Since you said we robbed the baby, then you tell Lao Chendan what is the baby we robbed." The Vajra rat secretly said, "Master, this alien has hidden a volume of the Book of Fa Tianbao, which must have been obtained from here." Yi Mingqi said, "Can you see what is on him?" "This is a talent for rodents," said the donkey mouse, "the master can use it as an essay." Yi Ming immediately sneered, and said, "Jumbo is more than the same. I remember when you snatched a book of Fa Tianbao." As soon as this statement came out, the face of the snake-faced alien changed greatly. He never killed the crocodile, but what numbed his scalp was that he really had a volume of magic books. Suddenly, the other 4 aliens also stared at him, and Shongsho said, "5 insects, you haven't said about getting the Book of Fa Tianbao before, we all believed in you, but I didn't expect you to lie to us all." When the old alien saw something in it, he roared, "It turned out that you killed the crocodile." Shongshu's alien shook his head. "Aurora, you should believe us, the Book of Fa Tianbao was obtained from a cave. At that time we sensed the existence of the book, but only the 5 insects could go in. When he came out, he told us nothing yet." The old alien was obviously full of suspicion. He glanced at Yi Ming and looked at the 5 aliens, and the doubt in his eyes grew stronger. Yi Ming decided to add another fire and said, "Besides that, there is a volume of God Book in his hands." He was referring to the bear-head alien. Shongsho was shocked. Like Wu Zhang, he also found a baby named Sansha Shensha. Once this divine book is urged, the physical body can be divided into 3, each of which has the same strength as the deity, which can be described as a killer treasure. However, the 3 killing books can only be used 3 times. The old alien stared at the bear-head alien again, and asked, "Is it true, Mountain Stream?" Shanxi was anxious, and he quickly waved his hand. "Aurora, although I have the 3 killing gods book, I got it myself, and it has nothing to do with the crocodile." However, several other aliens were annoyed, and the snake-faced alien said angrily, "Damn it, don't you say that you didn't find it. It turned out that you had swallowed the Book of God alone." Every alien has a secret. At this time, he was exposed, and his explanation was unclear. He suddenly became angry, and he shouted, "Did you kill the crocodiles?" Yi Ming. Of course they. He was preparing to continue to plant dirt, and the terrible repressive force appeared again. 6 aliens screamed. Their strength was suppressed to the level of only samurai, and they were lying on the ground and rolling. Yi Ming wasn't much better. He felt that his strength was almost suppressed, and people almost collapsed, sitting on the ground with his buttocks. The old alien Sinian still stared at the mountain urns and 5 insects. His eyes seemed to spit fire, and asked, "Hurry up, did you do it?" Although he was burning in anger, he could not tell which one was the truth, can only be asked first. Yi Ming stood up slowly at this time, and said coldly, "The storage ring of the crocodile is on the body of the mountain cricket. You quickly take him down and search for the ring." Shan Yan jumped up and scolded, "Miscellaneous reptile, how can I have a ring on my body?" However, he closed his mouth immediately, because Chen Dan was struggling to walk towards him. Shanzhong was startled, backed up again and again, and shouted, "Aurora, what are you doing? Do you really want to search my body? If you dare not let me search, this reptile's words are true." Aura said sharply, "How Shan willing to let him search his body? As a prince of hundreds of races, there are so many secrets on his body that he must not be known to Aurora." So he shouted, "Aurora, you are a rude old slave, dare to be rude to this prince." Yi Ming suddenly rolled up his sleeves and said loudly, "Are you afraid? Old Chen Dan, don't be afraid, I'll help you make him appear." As he spoke, he rushed towards the mountain stream, and the mountain stream was angry, and he took out a big axe to fight with Yi Ming. However, a scene that surprised him happened. When Yi Ming passed by the old alien tribe, a ray of swordsman rushed out of his sleeve, as fast as lightning, and circled around his neck. All of a sudden, the blood was rushing, the old alien corpse was on the spot, his eyes widened, it seemed that he couldn't believe Yi Ming could kill him. Under the horrible suppression power, the stronger the strength, the more severe the suppression, so his current strength is so weak that Yi Ming can easily take his life. One sword killed Aurora, and Yi Ming was relieved. Those in the presence of this old alien are terrible. If not suppressed, he is a long life strong, killing him like killing ants. Faced with such danger, he will naturally look for every opportunity to get rid of it. When Shan Ming saw Yi Ming kill Aurora, he was frightened first. Now that he was furious, he shouted, "The reptile is so bold." Yi Ming smiled yin, then gave a few glare to the aliens, turned and left. These aliens have heavy treasures on them, and it is too difficult to kill them. Rather than wasting time here, instead of looking for treasure, he didn't want to waste time. The 5 aliens chased with all their might, but Yi Ming's speed was far ahead of them, and soon they disappeared, all of them hate itching, but could not help but stamp their feet in place. Yi Ming stepped out of the distance, and Xiaobao, who had been silent, finally got excited again, and his paw kept waving. Yi Ming was so excited that he went immediately at full speed. But he didn't leave me, he was stopped by the endless swamp. He leaned over and grabbed a handful of marsh, which was sticky and soft, with a strong stench. "Master, the mire is full of danger, and there are a lot of cursed dead souls living in it." The Vajra warned, "It is better not to be involved." Yi Ming, "I'm short of money now, how can I find the treasure found by Xiaobao without taking risks?" Vajra, "The master waits a moment, and after the suppression of power disappears, I can help the master." Yi Ming did not think so, saying, "With the power of repression, I have at least the ability to protect myself. Without that power of repression, the danger is even stronger. Xiao Gang, in case the repression disappears, and we meet again a terrible opponent, it's up to you then." King Kong Rat. "The master is assured. The master is a timeless wizard who bears the seeds of the Daxia civilization. I just have to fight for my life and keep the master safe." Yi Ming's 2 feet on the mud immediately felt a strange suction generated on the soft mud. His body uncontrolled will fall. Fortunately, his martial arts was deep, and the push and shock shook off the suction and stickiness. "This marsh is weird." Yi Ming's face changed slightly. "If I didn't work hard, I would have to fall in." King Kong Rat. "Master, this mud should be the legendary Devil's Mud. No matter what, once it comes into contact with it, it will fall into it and become part of the Devil's Mud." Yi Mingqi said. As you say, the devil's mud is alive. I don't know if there is life, but the devil mud is really terrible. It is said that the more creatures killed, the more terrible the devil mud. The most dangerous devil mud can devour the characters of the longevity. Fortunately, the host is very strong. Use it supernaturally, otherwise it's really dangerous. Quote. The Vajrayana is very grateful, because it has not found the terribleness of this mud. Yi Ming was curious and reached out and grabbed a handful of mud. The mud was twirling in his palms, as if there was life. He wouldn't look out the door for a while, so he just threw this mud into the storage ring and planned to study it later. Yi Ming walked carefully on the devil mud, getting closer and closer to the position pointed by Xiaobao. Finally, he saw a small puddle in front of him, a lotus flower in the puddle, and 3 lotus leaves, each of which was cyan. Red, purple. A white lotus stretched high and swayed in the wind. He stopped and stared at the lotus flower, while the treasure hunter jumped up and down on his shoulder, screaming at the lotus flower, very excited. Is this baby? He turned to look at the treasure hunt rat with doubt. Unfortunately, the treasure hunt rat couldn't give more information, it only knew that the lotus was a treasure. Rather, the Vajra rat said, Master, get the thing first, and then say that the treasure hunt rat can't be wrong. Yi Ming nodded, reaching out to pull up the lotus. However, as soon as his hand touched the lotus flower, an illusion occurred in his mind and he was unable to control himself. He was taken aback, quickly let go and jumped away, staring at lotus. Donkey Mouse. Master, presumably the role of this lotus is to create illusions. Yi Ming said. I remember. I have read something in ancient books, saying that it is a hallucinogenic thing in the world, respected by the 1000 fantasy ***** lotus. Taking the 1000 fantasy ***** lotus, even if it is a long life 9-state power, mad monster. This lotus touches the illusion, and it must be the 1000 fantasy ***** lotus. Quote. The Vajra rat said in surprise. It's actually a 1000 fantasy ***** lotus. I have heard of this thing. It is said to be very cherished and can be used to make 1000 fantasy gods. And that 1000 fantasy gods is the supreme ***** who cultivates Yuanshan. Medicine can be of great help to monks in the longevity. Quote. Yi Ming nodded. Yes. After 5 years of life, cultivation is very difficult, and the 1000 magic gods have great benefits. In this way, the 1000 magic ***** lotus is of immense value and is definitely a good thing. Speaking of this, he immediately transfigured the giant palm of Yuanshan. The palm of his hand had several acres of circle, and he fished it down. He dug out the entire small puddle, together with the devil mud under the ground, and put it in the space in the great summer ring. He had just dug up the 1000 magic ***** lotus here, and both the gangster and treasure hunt rat suddenly covered themselves, as if they had encountered something terrible. Yi Ming was taken aback and asked quickly, what's wrong? The wolverine fights with teeth, and a pair of small eyes are staring at the front. They can't even speak, they can only squeak, and the cry is full of fear and despair. Yi Ming suddenly looked forward, and saw a little cat, about the same size as a domestic cat, 1 foot long, walking towards Yi Ming leisurely. Yi Ming is the first time that a creature has been found in the necrotic swamp. In his impression and expectation, necrotic swamp should only contain necrotic evils, not normal creatures. He put the Vajra and treasure hunter in his cuffs, and walked towards the cat. Yi Ming loved animals when he was a kid. He has raised a lot. In his opinion, the rat was afraid of cats as a matter of righteousness, so he didn't find anything unusual about the performance of treasure hunting rats and gangsters. The little flower cat's eyes saw Yi Ming approaching, a hint of jeering appeared from the corner of his mouth, and his claws gently protruded from the meat pad, extremely sharp. Its speed is extremely fast, and it can easily kill characters under the 5 realms of longevity. For hundreds of years, it has been the king of the devil's mud, and even those who are dead are very afraid of it. It was close. Yi Ming bent down, and the cat started to wave its paw. As long as it waved gently, there would be a slaughter and cut off Yi Ming. However, his claws were only halfway out, and before he could kill them in the future, Yi Ming's hand was pressed against his head, rubbed it gently, and then said softly, "Little guy, how are you will appear here?" Quote. The little cat is stunned and very angry. It is the king and the great beast. The human touched his head casually. Does this want to die? It was about to kill the human who violated his majesty, and Yi Ming's hands began to scratch his belly again, and smiled, "Little guy, comfortable." The little cat was stunned. This shameless human started to touch his belly, but its asterisk part was touched by a human like this. Somehow, it suddenly felt particularly comfortable, squinting its eyes uncontrollably, and making a squeaky sound, with its limbs unfolded, showing an expression of enjoyment. The cat's heart is rejected, but it is a carnivorous animal. How can it eat such a nutritious thing as jujube? However, the entrance of the fire jujube suddenly turned into a clear stream and entered his stomach, which was very sweet. It's so delicious. What is it? He has lived in the dead spirit swamp since he was a child. Where did the little cat see fire jujube? He lost his temper immediately, looked at Yi Ming babbily, hoping to eat another one. Yi Ming held it in his arms and laughed, "I'll give you another delicious food." This time, he stuffed a ginseng fruit to the cat. Ginseng fruit is much more precious than fire jujube and is naturally more delicious. The cats with little cats all stood up, excited and surprised. It never imagined that there was such a delicious fruit in the world. In fact, it has not seen it, because there is really nothing delicious in the necropolis. Yi Ming saw that he had a good appetite, so he took out some delicious jerky. These jerky meats are all monster meat of level 9 and above, and are made by masters, which are extremely delicious. Otherwise, Yi Ming would not have some on his body. At the entrance of the jerky meat, the little cat almost fainted when he was happy. The excited, "Meow meow," shouted, his head lingered around Yi Ming, very intimate. At this moment, both the Vajrayarat and the treasure hunt rat have been petrified, and the owner is also terrific, so I packed up this terrible cat 3 or 2 times. Feeling that there might not be much danger, the Vajra finally spoke human words again, and said to Yi Ming, "Be careful of the owner, this cat is the legendary Death. It is extremely dangerous." The donkey mouse was silent at the moment and had to say, "Master, the asterisk of death is its nickname. Its real name is God-Eater Cat. When it is an adult, it specializes in killing gods. When the ancestral continent was complete, there was a God-Eater Cat after being born, it caused chaos in the world, and half of the gods were killed by it in the end. It was the 18 main gods who teamed up to kill the gods, and then sealed the cat." Yi Ming was startled. So powerful. In the end, it was just a seal, didn't it kill Vajra? Yes, the master, the devouring cat is immortal. When it swallows a god, it equals 1 more life, so it can only be suppressed and not killed. Yi Ming rubbed the little cat's head vigorously and praised, "I didn't expect you, this little guy is so powerful," biting the cat. "This name is mighty and domineering, and I really like you more and more." The Vajra is speechless again. The point is that the cat is terrible, why is the owner only concerned about its name? Is the master's head flooded? However, when he saw the enjoyment of the cat, he immediately accepted it. A cat with water in his head probably likes a human with water in his head, right? After eating the thick jerky meat of 10 arms in 1 mouthful, the devouring cat finally satiated, lying contentedly in Yi Ming Weichen with a lazy look. Yi Ming laughed. "I have more delicious food. Follow me later. I will take you out and see the real world." The mysterious origins and the powerful bite-catching cat have a head with no resistance, agree with Yi Ming's suggestion, and lick his palm in affectionately. Ming thought about it and said, "I'll call you Shalwa in the future. This name is good." And the little cat's eyes stared round, thinking to myself, how could I be such a dignified cat? It is about to fight. Yi Ming has already asked, "Shalwa, do you want to eat ginseng fruit?" Alas! Ginseng fruit, I eat. It immediately meowed cheerfully, no matter whether the name was small or large. In this way, Yi Ming conquered a cat with some worthless food. In fact, he wasn't as nerve-throbbing as the donkey mouse thought, and he didn't know how powerful the cat was. In fact, from the beginning, he felt that the cat was not simple. Because when he urged the Eye of Hope, he saw the corpse piled up from the back of Shalwa. It can be seen that this seemingly cute kitten is actually extremely dangerous. Danger is dangerous, but cats are cats after all, and cats should be similar in nature, so he is ready to try. Now it seems that the effect is excellent, the cat has been subdued by him. Of course, in the cat's eyes, Yi Ming is just his servant, a man who eats and drinks and who cares about humans. If it had lived on Earth, it would definitely have called Yi Ming a shovel. In order to place Shalwa, Yi Ming hung an animal skin pocket on his shoulder, and Shalwa was lying inside, sleeping most of the time. When he was hungry, he called out, and Yi Ming immediately offered to eat and drink. He was extremely comfortable, at least better than before. When Yi Ming left the area of the devil's mud, the lazy little cat suddenly opened his eyes, poked his head out of the pelt skin pocket, and then the cat's claws waved, pointing southeast. Yi Mingqi said, "Where are you going?" Ao Zhao's little cat was too lazy to answer the servant's question, but just re-wrapped her paw. Yi Ming shrugged helplessly and said, "Okay, I'll go and see what's out there." Then, he went full speed towards that side. Shalwa nodded with satisfaction, thinking that this human is quite obedient, but the response is a bit slow, and it seems that more training will be needed in the future. When Yi Ming walked halfway, he felt that kind of suppressing power disappeared. He was as light as a bird immediately, and his speed of travel increased a lot. However, halfway through, he stopped abruptly, because there were a few silhouettes flying forward quickly in front of him. As soon as he stopped, the previous figures stopped and rushed towards him. The other party approached. Yi Ming secretly exclaimed. It turns out that the owners of these figures are no strangers, it is the 5 aliens and the other raw faces. In addition to the 5 aliens, there are 3 powerful aliens. They are powerful and should be strong in the longevity. It's you. Several aliens, ha ha, laughed, and the snake-faced alien named Wu Zong shouted, "Take." An alien claps his hands immediately, a huge palm emerges out of thin air, and he carries the force of the world to the ground and suppresses Yi Ming. With his palm, even the hills will be smashed, let alone flesh and blood. The faces of the 5 aliens showed a cheerful color, and they really hated Yi Ming. Now they saw that he was going to be killed. However, halfway through the giant palm, the little cat in the skin pocket of Yi Ming's waist waved his paw gently. Immediately, 5 killing lights rushed up and crossed the giant palm. Puff! Yi Ming heard a soft bang, and the palm in the air was cut into several pieces, the fingers were cut off, and then exploded into a ball of fire that dissipated in the air. The stranger groaned, his face stunned, and stared at the little flower in the hide's pocket, his face full of fear. What kind of monster is this? The strange mountain man asked in shock, because he felt the extremely dangerous breath from the body of the devouring cat. Shalwa stared at the aliens in front of them with dissatisfaction. The group of things that didn't have long eyes dared to start with their loyal servants. Are they tired and crooked? Yi Ming wiped off the cold sweat from his head. Just now he really thought he was finished. Thanks to Shalwa's shot, it seemed that the name of the god-eating cat was not white. At this time, Shalwa was very unhappy. Her eyes gradually widened, and her pupils, which were originally vertical, suddenly expanded, turning into a dark circle, as if it was leading to the place of death. 3 of the 8 clans have achieved the heavenly realm of deities, and the one who shot Yi Ming is the strongest in the longevity second realm. However, when these 3 alien gods were looked at by Shalwa's eyes, they couldn't move immediately, and felt that their whole body strength had been sealed. The 3 aliens suddenly flew into the sky, and their backs blew up. They were intent on asking for help, but couldn't say a word, not even a blink of an eye. The remaining 4 alien princes, who were not gods, didn't feel much. They looked curiously at their companions, wondering why they were so frightened. Did something terrible happen? At this moment, Shalwa suddenly waved her claws again, and then a ***** and miserable scene happened. The celestial covers of the 4 alien gods burst open at the same time, and their brains exploded into fog. Then they rushed out of a magic body and shot their brains at them. Little flowers. I saw the little cat opened her mouth lazily, and the 4 bodies were swallowed by her. Oh, Shalwa played a full meal and seemed extremely useful. Everyone was stunned. Yi Ming opened his mouth wide. No, the 4 gods were destroyed like this. Is there any truth? The remaining 4 aliens are all dead souls, without a word, turn around and escape fleeing. But Shalwa didn't seem to have much interest in them and didn't try to kill them. This is too cruel. Yi Ming's face was all white, looking at Shalwa like a monster. The Vajra rat secretly said, Master, it is a cat that eats gods, and it is its natural instinct to devour gods. Yi Ming said with emotion. The 4 alien races were sucked like this, but it took hundreds, even thousands of years. The so-called law body is equivalent to the ***** form of the martial arts, which is possessed by a Shinto monk after becoming a god. The body of the deity of the law heaven is called the phase body. When it comes to the longevity realm, it will have the body without phase. Of the 4 enlightened bodies that were just swallowed, 3 of them are phase bodies and 1 is a faceless body. Donkey Kong. No matter how high your practice is, it is not an opponent of the devouring cat. In the Zuyuan era, this kind of thing has swallowed the Lord God. When Yi Ming looked at Shalwa again, he felt quite a little nervous, and couldn't help asking, I said Shalwa, when I became a martial arts god, wouldn't you also want to eat me? Shalwa licked her tongue, looked at Yi Ming with interest, and seemed to say that she. Yi Ming's scalp was numb and his head shrank, and he thought of a way to control the cat, otherwise it would be too dangerous. Scared away the aliens, Yi Ming's thinking gradually returned to the right track, and asked, Little flower, what did you bring me here for, what is it for? Shalwa didn't know how to understand people, he ignored Yi Ming at all, but just reached out with her claws. When Yi Ming moved, the aliens also moved forward before. Is there anything special ahead? Thinking of this, he immediately rushed and hurried at full speed. 1 hour, 2 hours, even with Yi Ming's foot power, they walked for 7 or 8 hours before they saw a huge lake. This lake is not so much a lake as a sea, because its area is too large, the horizon is vast, the blue sky is magnificent, and it is difficult to distinguish where the sky is and the water. Yi Ming praised. I didn't expect that there was still such a good scenery in the necropolis. However, as soon as he finished praise, he felt that something was wrong. Xiao Gang, why is there no wave on this lake? Yi Ming asked strangely, and then he came to lake, and stretched out his hand to observe the lake. Beware, this is standing water. Warned King Kong. There are tapeworms in the. Yi Ming was taken aback. He quickly released his hand and poured some water to wash his hands. Then he asked, why don't you say it earlier? The donkey mouse said, I just thought about it. You say this is standing water, and there are tapeworms in it, seriously? Yi Ming asked, looking at his hands from time to time to see if he could find the bug. King Kong rat. This lake is so famous that it is called Deadwater Lake. Its formation is said to be related to the curse that killed the Daxia civilization. The God-Eater brought his master here, and there must be something found. Is there a baby in this lake? Yi Ming was interested. As soon as the words fell, he suddenly felt his hands numb, and looked down, and saw heavy black gas flying between his palms, as thin as silk, as long as hair, twisted and changing, very strange. It's really a maggot. Yi Ming was startled, and before he took action, the cursing power, which was first rebuilt by Supreme, started on its own. I saw the power of the heavy temple shook, and the black gas on both hands was swept away and disappeared without a trace. The Vajra rat said in surprise, what kind of exercises the master has repaired can actually get rid of tapeworms? Yi Ming said. To Supreme is the highest priority, and the power of curse, I did not expect it to be so effective. Vajra. Fortunately, the owner has this kind of ability, otherwise he will stay here today. Yi Ming grinned and said, this maggot is so powerful. I just couldn't bear it just by touching it. If I take a sip, I'm afraid it won't be able to bear it. Vajra. At least I dare not drink. At this moment, there were countless roads of galloping light coming one after another, all rushing to the lake. Yi Ming narrowed his eyes and said, "It seems that there is really something here." It was not a coincidence that they encountered the mountain stream before. Around Yi Ming, a large number of aliens soon arrived. However, strangely, these aliens turned blind eye to Yi Ming and stared at the lake one by one. And when the aliens arrived, the earth blasted, and a large beast rushed over. There were giant snakes, giant eagles, tigers and leopards, yaks, and so on. Most of these fierce beasts have longevity level attack power and are very sturdy. What's even more weird is that the fierce beasts did not look at Yi Ming, and even those aliens turned a blind eye, all staring at the lake, as if there would be any significant event. Yi Ming suddenly felt chills on his back, and subconsciously predicted that this place would become extremely dangerous, or he should hide as far away as possible. Because of the beasts and aliens present, their strength was weak and they reached the level of Fatian, and the power of longevity is everywhere. He was too weak in it, and it was really death to stay. He quietly took a step back, but at this moment, the devouring cat poked out his head, his eyes staring at the lake likewise. At the same time, Yi Ming was shrouded in a force, and he couldn't even step back, and the whole man was dead. The asterisk is going on here. Yi Ming smiled bitterly and could only communicate with Vajra. Master, I can feel that there is a great power awakening beneath this lake. Great power. Yi Mingqi said, which ancient beast is sleeping here? Unlike a ferocious beast, its breath is closer to humans, said the Vajra. Its voice didn't fall, the lake surface surged, and gradually formed a huge vortex. The vortex grew larger and more urgent, occupying most of the lake. In the center of the vortex, a huge black hole was formed, and a sudden burst of rainbow light burst into it, turning it into a shocking giant hand. The giant master turned into a fist and slammed into the air. Click. The void seemed to be penetrated, and a black and faint channel appeared, connecting the unknown domain. Through that passage, Yi Ming faintly saw that the countless ghosts of the mighty shore were shaking, as if a fantasy. Oh my god. It's a human arm, it's so vital, it has survived to this day. Just a punch, we broke through the barrier of dimensions, and let us see what the heavens look like. The Vajra died excitedly, staring at the sky. Yi Ming's gaze was also completely attracted by that arm, because he felt the breath on this arm was extremely familiar, exactly the same as the breath on the huge skull at the bottom of Xuantian Great World Lake, except that the breath on that skull was dead. But this arm is infinitely energetic. Subconsciously, his body released a similar breath. After all, he had absorbed the blood from his skull and had his breath. After a while, the arm in the air seemed to sense something, and the sudden change turned into a golden light. Going west, it disappeared instantly. The beasts and aliens immediately fry the pan, desperately rushing towards it, leaving only Yi Ming still in place. The devouring cat in the pelt was squinting at him now when Yi Ming just released his breath. It also felt that it was similar to that released by the huge arm. Therefore, when all the alien beasts chased their arms, they stayed quietly in the skin pockets. Shao Gang, why do these beasts chase their arms? Yi Ming asked. Donkey Kong. Naturally, I want to swallow that arm. The power contained in that arm is too powerful and advanced. I can easily upgrade even if I get the slightest amount. I dare not say that I will become the Lord God. Environment, there is still no problem. Quote. Yi Ming was taken aback. Is it so magical? Is that arm fine? It's not perfection. It's a very high level. Every muscle, bone, and hair in the body has infinite wisdom and can be reborn. If they find the right environment, they can rebirth as what it was. Quote. Said the donkey mouse. However, this arm is obviously suppressed and imprisoned by certain forces, so it cannot be reborn. However, the force of suppression and imprisonment cannot completely suppress it, its power. Still tough. Quote. While talking, a golden light fell from the sky, and it was that arm that returned. Feeling the breath on his arm, Yi Ming subconsciously reached out and grabbed a bunch of golden light in his hand, rolling continuously. The devouring cat jumped up in excitement, and, meow, pounced on the golden light. Jin Guang trembled slightly, a finger stuck out from the inside, and bounced on the head of devouring cat. As if the sound of the earth cracked, the devouring cat was blown away with a finger, and a blood spurted from the air. Jin Guang seemed to be very disdainful of it, and didn't even mean to kill it. It brushed and hid directly in Yi Ming's storage ring. Yi Ming was stunned. The arm was really slow. A finger smashed the powerful devouring cat. If it wants, killing the devouring cat is just a hand. The God-Eater cat was obviously too frightened and didn't dare to take another shot. It wasn't until Jin Guang hid himself that it returned to the hide pocket. However, it looked sick and seemed to have suffered minor injuries before. Yi Ming said, "This place shouldn't stay for a long time, and leave quickly." Too late to think, he flew with all his strength and quickly fled the scene. Sure enough, not long after, a large number of aliens and fierce beasts appeared on the shore again, looking for traces of their arms. But where do they know, the arm has long turned into golden light, hidden in Yi Ming's storage ring. After escaping from the lake shore, Yi Ming just breathed a sigh of relief, and the sky suddenly became dark. Numerous black lights burst out of the ground and condensed into evil spirits. They screamed for all life, including Yi Ming, of course. At the same time, a huge vortex appeared over the sky, which was the exit of the necromancer. "No, all the dead are out, run away!" Yi Ming yelled, rushing towards the vortex with all his strength. The next moment, he was pulled in by a suction, and after turning around for a while, he reappeared on the Tianyao continent. At this moment he was in a forest, with huge trees as high as mountains, and a yellow-haired rabbit was squatting not far away, watching him curiously. At this moment he was in a forest, with huge trees as high as mountains, and a yellow-haired rabbit. This rabbit, standing taller than Yi Ming, had red eyes, strong hind legs, and 2 rows of fangs exposed. Yi Ming is certain that this rabbit is definitely different from Tianyuan mainland. It is a carnivore and it seems to want to eat itself. "Go away, or you will be killed." Yi Ming glared at the rabbit fiercely, reprimanding him. The rabbit couldn't understand the person in person, it kicked its hind legs fiercely and hit Yi Ming with lightning. Yi Ming was so annoyed that even the rabbit dared to attack him. He couldn't avoid it. He blasted with a punch, his strength was shocking, and his shot was quick. This rabbit was smashed into the brain by a punch and died on the spot. After half an hour, the big rabbit on the fire had been roasted golden. Yi Ming was carrying a lot of condiments and was spreading it evenly. The fragrance floated for miles and attracted some wild animals. When Yi Ming just tore off a piece of meat and was preparing to taste it, a woman's voice behind him, "It's fragrant, can you divide me a little?" Yi Ming turned his head and saw a woman in white with a short, small white horn on her forehead. She was wearing a white armor. The armor did not know what the material was, and it flashed a strange luster. The woman's body is very tall, only slightly shorter than Yi Ming. Her appearance is also beautiful, unforgettable at first sight. Seeing that the other party was an alien, Yi Mingxin was vigilant. In the impression that the alien had no fun, all eyes were above the top, arrogant and overbearing. "Hello, I'm Zhao Yu, the princess of the Yuying clan." The woman introduced herself. "Are you human?" Yi Ming nodded. "Yes. You can eat these barbecues." Zhao Yu was very happy, and he sat politely opposite Yi Ming, tore off a front leg, and ate it without any grace. Seeing that she was delicious, Yi Ming couldn't help asking, "Have you never eaten barbecue before?" Zhao Yu nodded. "Yeah, from childhood to age, I can only eat a few simple foods. Alas, the barbecue you make is really fragrant." Yi Ming couldn't help but feel sorry for the Lingtian people, and found out some fruits from his pocket and handed them over. I do and no. Zhao Yu didn't pick up the fruit when she saw it, but asked strangely, do you eat this kind of fruit? In our Moon Shadow clan, only slaves eat them. Yi Ming almost jumped up, but he gave the fire jujube. He was swallowed back forcibly, but asked quietly, so, do you have a lot of fruit in the Yueying clan? Of course, the kind of fire jujube you get. Ming took out the ginseng fruit and tianjiao fruit again and asked, what about these? Zhao Yu laughed. The ginseng fruit is average. It's a good day, and I don't even eat it often. Yi Ming was determined at this moment. The Moon Shadow clan really has a lot of fruits, such as ginseng fruit, which he thinks are more precious, even the goods on the bad street. The trip to the earth gave him a deeper understanding of business, and he couldn't help but ask, what is the currency of your Moon Shadow clan? Man's mouth was soft, and Zhao Yu said, of course it is a ***** coin. In addition, Fajing. Yi Ming also asked, the Moon Shadow clan must produce a variety of spiritual fruits. I wonder if you are willing to sell. Sale. Zhao Yu thought for a while, and said very seriously, this one has never thought about. The fruits of the Yueying clan are as many as the stones on the ground here. Ming felt even more playful, and said, I am a businessman and hope to work with you fruits in the Yueying clan. Zhao Yu also seemed to be interested, and asked, oh, what do you want to acquire? Like ginseng fruit and tianjiao fruit, you can buy them, even jujube. How much you have? How much I collect? Yi Ming said. Zhao Yu laughed. Okay, as long as the price is right, there is no problem at all. Let's take ginseng fruit as an example. How much can you pay? Yi Ming did not report the price first, but said, the price should be set by the princess. Zhao Yu thought about it, and said, let's go, a long-lived coin, what do you think? Yi Ming almost jumped up. He knew that the ginseng fruit was usually sold by auction, not sold casually. In Tianyuan, a ginseng fruit can be sold at a price of 100,000 long-lived coins. But the other party actually only needs one long-lived coin. Shocked, Yi Ming said, okay, a longevity coin. And for every ginseng fruit I buy, I will return 2 longevity coins to the princess as compensation. Next time, Zhao Yu was surprised. You want to return me twice the money? Yi Ming, I am a human race. It is impossible to go to your moonshine release, so the purchase of the fruit should only be a trouble for the princess, so the double rebate is the next thank you.